Hello and welcome to my A+ class. I'm Bill Ferguson and I'm excited about teaching you these concepts. Whether you're starting from scratch, brushing up, or preparing for the A+ exams, I think you'll find this information to be very helpful. We'll discuss some microcomputer concepts that have been around for 20 years and some other concepts that are state-of-the-art today. Let's begin with an overview of the entire course. We'll start off talking about terminology. I think you'll agree that if someone is going to put you in charge of computers and servers, you need to at least sound like you know what you're talking about. So we'll discuss hardware and software terms and how computers function so that we're all on the same page as we go through this training together. Then we'll discuss how software and hardware work together, beginning with the boot process, which is where the software and the hardware actually meet each other. We'll look at players like BIOS and CMOS. These are extremely important elements because they hold data that can start a computer even without an operating system. Speaking of operating systems, we'll look at the key files that are required to start and to run each of the most common operating systems, and key resources that are required for every device that's installed in a computer or attached to a computer. Then we'll switch gears and talk about the system board. System board is also called the motherboard, and it contains all of the devices of the computer. It attaches to the devices using buses which carry data and electricity, and ports which allow the expandability of the computer to other devices. We'll also learn about memory. There are many different types of memory, some fast and some slow. We'll look at how we manage memory for essential computer management. Next, we'll examine data storage. There are floppy drives, hard drives, CD-ROMs. There's all different types of data storage, but the first thing that we have to do is format data. We'll unravel the mysteries of sectors and cylinders and clusters. Then we'll talk about troubleshooting tools. The best network professionals use tools to help them to make changes to computers and to get out of trouble. We'll look at some of the most common hardware tools and software tools that are used by professionals. We'll also look at some tips as to what to do and what not to do when you get inside the computer case. Then we'll switch gears and talk about multimedia. This is a high technology that is used within a computer to recreate sounds and to recreate pictures. So we'll look at how audio and video are produced inside a computer and unravel the mysteries of sampling rates and compression. Then we'll turn our attention to electricity and power supplies. We'll discuss terminology of electricity, like what is a watt, what is an amp, what is an ohm, and how to measure these. Then also the computer power supply. Computer power supply is responsible for supplying power to all the motors and all of the data channels within the computer. Then we'll discuss UPSs, uninterrupted power supplies. This is an essential element because it keeps a computer from crashing and allows it to shut down normally, even in the event of a power failure. This is extremely important, especially for servers. Next, we'll discuss operating systems. First, the Windows 9X operating systems, which include Windows 95, Windows 98, and the new Windows Millennium Edition. Then we'll discuss supporting Windows NT, both supporting Windows NT Workstation and then Windows NT Server. And finally, the newest of operating systems, Windows 2000, has some new features, and we'll discuss how those benefit us. Then we'll turn our attention to communication. First, communication over the telephone lines using modems. Then communication on the intranet, which is a network within an organization using network interface cards and protocols. And then finally, the internet, the largest network, a network between networks. And the largest network, of course, being the internet, which is powered by DNS, domain name servers, and TCP/IP, Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol. We'll look at how to configure and set each of these communications options. Then we'll switch gears and talk about printers. We'll look at all the different hardware types and the software and settings for different types of printers. We'll even see how a laser printer actually prints. Then we'll learn about notebook computers. There are some fundamental differences between notebook computers and desktop computers, and this makes a big difference in how we configure them. Then we'll discuss preventative maintenance. This is how we keep our hardware and our software functioning for a long period of time. And last, we'll discuss backups and fault tolerance. The worst thing that a person in charge of computers and servers can do is lose data. So we'll discuss how do we keep from losing data in the event of a catastrophe, such as a server crash, or an actual catastrophe like a fire or an earthquake. So as you can see, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get started with our first lesson.